What's up, y'all? It's Saratoga Slim, and this is the debut of the Saratoga Slim Pickins weekly show that we're going to do a live stream recap of the games, the NFL Sunday games. And this is an NFL where the New York Football Giants are 2-0. I got it upside down, but the New York Football Giants are 2-0, and they get ready for a big Monday Night Football game next week against the Dallas Cowboys. But we have some unfinished business to do with week 2. So before we get to all the week 3 action that we'll be covering all week here on the Race and Dudes YouTube channel and Facebook channels, we're going to look at the picks for tonight's game. Before we get to that, follow me on Twitter at Saratoga Slim. Also, make sure you tune in on Thursday nights to our halftime show. It is me and Mike Somich on the Thursday night football games. We're going to be doing a halftime show. We've done it the last 2 weeks. We've been giving out picks. It's called the Betapalooza, so tune in for that. We're going to get to the picks in a little bit, but let me also tell you a little bit about what this show is about. We're about building a community. I want to make sure that everyone out there gets a chance. I see Dennis is out there saying good afternoon to me. So I'm all about the community. Please let me know what your picks are for Monday night before we get into this. I want to know what you guys are thinking. We want to work together to try to beat the house because these player props are crazy. Anyone that's out there that's telling you they know what they're doing with these player props, the lines are moving all over the place. As soon as they come out, FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, they're all over the place. So shopping the markets is very important. And wagering strategy, along with your bankroll management and your discipline, these are all things we're going to be talking about on the show. We're not just talking about the player props, but you know what? That is a big, important part of the show. So without further ado, we're going to get to the first pick of tonight's game. The Buffalo Bills versus the, I was going to say Houston Texans, but the Tennessee Titans. So we got a big game tonight, and I like Josh Allen over 39.5 rushing yards. What we saw from the Tennessee Titans in week 1, they gave up 236 yards rushing in week 1 to the Giants. So, I mean, you could look at Devin Singletary as a possible over candidate, but I'm going to put my money on maybe the best player in football, Josh Allen. He had 56 yards rushing in week 1 against a stout Rams defense. 39.5 is doable. You know he's going to be moving the ball up and down the field. Can Tennessee stop him? No, I don't think so. They can't stop the run. So he's going to be using his legs early and often in this one. Please let me know if you guys got any comments on who you like. Let's see what we got here. Dennis, well, a recap for me is I had too much faith in the Bengals, and it cost me a profitable day, and it cost me a lot worse because I was trying to get it back on Sunday night game. That's the discipline that we're trying to instill in everybody here. Too much bets. That's one of the things that I've learned already in the first 2 weeks is I'm making too many bets, 12 bets. I should really need to bring that down to the 6-7 range with really my best bets. It's just like looking at a card when you go to the track. We got a lot of horse racing fans out there. You need to pick your spots. There are 1,000 bets you can make every weekend on this stuff. So really focus on what your strongest opinion. It's as important as ever when we look at these picks. So Josh Allen over 39.5 is my first bet. And then the late game, well, not really the late game, starting at 8:30, we got A.J. Brown, Philadelphia coming home, and they're hosting the Minnesota Vikings. It's going to be a shootout. I don't know. It might not be a shootout, actually. I really think Philadelphia has a pretty good defense. And I don't know if they'll keep Justin Jefferson over, but I'm seeing 98.5 yards. I don't love betting a guy to get 100 yards receiving, even if he is the best wide receiver in football. They're focusing on him. The Philadelphia defense may be decent. I don't know so much about the Minnesota Vikings defense. Coming into Philadelphia, always tough for a team to play on the road. And I really like A.J. Brown. He looked amazing in week 1 with Jalen Hurts. Over 71.5 receiving yards. I've already seen that go up to 75.5 on some sites. I got it a couple of days ago at 71.5. So playing the lines, shopping the markets, always very important. We got a few comments that came in. Let's see. He thirds on Tannehill passing yards over, because if they are down a lot, wouldn't he have to pass the ball over 214.5? Right now with Tannehill, I don't know if he has that wide receiver that he's going to. Oh my God, what's his name? Robert Woods looked washed in week 1. The rookie, I'm not sure if he's ready for prime time quite yet. So he doesn't have someone he could really rely on, but 214.5 is pretty low for a game in which they probably will be passing a lot and they expect to go down early to Buffalo. Let's see. Everyone's talking about there. And this is why I really love having everyone on a Monday. All your bets are fresh in your head, and this is the opportunity to learn from those. So I like this, Nick, talking about, I played A.J. Dillon plus 51 yards and had to get luck on the late clock that Green Bay could not just run out the clock, and he picked up cheap 10 yards on the final drive. Congratulations, Nick. That is amazing. I'm going to go through some of my picks for the week and talk about some of the stories. We love hearing the stories here, and that's really the community we want to build. We want to help each other. A.J. Dillon, I love A.J. Dillon. The guy's thighs and calves are like the size of my neck. So, bigger than my neck. Bigger than my waist, probably. I'm slim, so he is a monster, A.J. Dillon. So him going over in that game, I'm happy they ran out the clock. I played a Lazard over. That was a horrible bet. I'm not involved with Lazard. I actually really like Sammy Watkins going into the game. Sammy Watkins looks like the number one there. So that is really an unsettled wide receiver situation there until Aaron Rodgers really gets going. But what we do know is that he is relying on Aaron Jones and he's relying on A.J. Dillon. So those guys going over, probably a good bet for the next few weeks. So please put any of your bets for Monday Night Football into the chat. But we're going to jump right into the top 10 lessons learned for the week. And the first lesson we'll learn for the week, what we're going to do is we want to look at what happened this week and use that information. We get data. Always data intensive, very much is football stats and very much is the prop betting. So we want to take that data each week and make ourselves better for the week coming forward into week 3. And I'll tell you this, the Bucs run defense is horrible. I'm not betting them to help me for a while. I'll probably just please remind me if I say I'm going to use their defense without Ndamukong Suh. They are running into issues here, and I was not happy about how Mark Ingram was able to get 60 yards rushing. It was one of my last bets I threw in there, and that's one of the things about betting too much, learning not to bet too much. I threw in this Mark Ingram under bet. I tried to play the Bucs run defense in week 1 against Zeke. Both times I lost, so I'm really not going to try to rely on the Bucs run defense right now. So that's my first lesson learned. And okay, here we go. As a Saints fan, I agree. We didn't have Kamara, and there was a drive when it was 3-3, and he was running the ball. Yeah, Ingram was running the ball. There was one when he went over, got to the 6 yards. Yeah, he had a couple of big runs in a row, and they were running in the second half with him. So, yeah, I don't know about the Bucs run defense. My next one is, there are 2 wide receiver breakouts from the rookies this week, and Drake London kind of broke out in week 1, but this week 12 targets, 8 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown. I don't know if I'm going to be able to rely on him just because of Marcus Mariota, and I know they have a tough matchup coming up, as I'll bring up some of that information. But Drake London, a breakout, and the guy that I'm really excited about, Garrett Wilson on the Jets. My Jets. I made Garrett Wilson the background for this live stream because he looked awesome. And as a Jets fan, I'm really excited for him. He had 14 targets, 8 catches for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. He may be unstoppable. He got comparisons from a Browns defense, the cornerback, that he has Justin Jefferson vibes and no one wants to guard him. So Garrett Wilson, Drake London, guys that I might be mixing into my prop bets. We'll see what those lines come out, but kind of seems like Garrett Wilson's going to be boom or bust, so he may be fool's gold. And we got some comments that came in. All right. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback. I'm not actually talking too much about Lamar here, but that game was crazy. I don't even have enough time. I'm trying to keep these shows to around 15, 20 minutes at most to just get the information out there. But yeah, that game was nuts. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the end. We got a Mariota sucks. Yeah, Mariota does suck. That's the problem with Drake London. And then we also got Flacco shouldn't be benched for Zach Wilson. Hey, I wrote this to my friends. Zach Wilson is going to have a very short leash when he comes back for the Jets. If he can't get the ball to Garrett Wilson, if he can't get the ball in his hands, he is going to be benched. So we'll see what happens. Flacco, they got the win, the big comeback. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those wins later in the program. Moving it down to some of the RB injuries, James Conner and Damian Harris. Well, you know what? I'm not really worried about either one of these guys or playing their prop bets. I really wasn't playing their prop bets before, and now with them being injured, I'm going to probably lay off. If they do miss time, I really don't even like their backups. So this is something that I'm going to be laying off for a while to see how these backfields and the unclear distribution is really something that has to get settled out with some of these backfields. And it was a lesson I learned. I made a really bad bet this week with Darrell Henderson going over. Cam Akers came back and took the majority of the carries, even though Darrell Henderson did get the touchdown. I'm just not happy with my thinking about this. With and I know this going in, unsettled running back situations, you can't be betting on the whim of these coaches. They'll just do whatever they want. But at the same time, this may be an opportunity to bet the unders. I had 2 under picks that I gave out on my Twitter Spaces that I host at 3 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. Eastern. Check out my Twitter. Follow me at Saratoga Slim. I do a Twitter Spaces each Friday afternoon going through my picks of the week. Najee Harris was my under. He got 49 yards rushing, and I got 52.5, so I went under just barely with him there. And also Michael Carter was my under against the Browns defense that I thought was going to be pretty good against him. Michael Carter, he didn't get as many he's splitting the carries at Breece Hall. So when you get these situations, it might be an opportunity for the under betting more than it is over betting. It's something that is sensible, common sense, but we need to put these theories in our minds as we build out our approach to prop betting. The 6th item, and I'm going to go down these pretty quickly, was Christian Kirk. Boy, Christian Kirk, 6 for 78 with 2 touchdowns, caught all his targets this week, much better than last week where he was 6 out of 12 targets in week 1 for 117 yards. He has been Trevor Lawrence's main safety blanket. He is getting the work. He's getting the targets. He might be someone that we're looking to use. Before we move to the 5th one here, we got some more comments. Jefferson, 3 TDs versus the Fecals. Okay, I guess that's the Eagles, but yeah, I mean, boy, I wouldn't play that. I just think that the corners are going to really, I don't know if they'll shut them down, but 3 touchdowns might be enough. I don't see a huge shootout in this game. I think someone is asking about that. Eagles Vikings over seems like a good bet to me. Actually, let's take a look. I could share some of my screens here to take a look at. Hold on one second. We have some screens, and I want to show you guys something on the Racing Dudes website. We have this really cool thing. If you go up to, and this is something for everyone on here that does go to the Racing Dudes website. Hold on. If you go to free picks up here, you have live odds and scores. So if you go to scores, you will have all of the NFL scores right here. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty nifty. And let's go down here. And I want to show you all the scores of the games. And all right. So 49 seems like a lot to me. So 49 is, I was trying to find the over. So 49 seems like a lot to me. And I don't know. I think Philadelphia has a pretty good defense. So I'm not looking for a lot of ridiculous scoring here in this game for some of the comments that just came in. All right. Hold on one second as I get readjusted. Not readjusted down here, but readjusted up here. So we also have another breakout. So I just was talking about Christian Kirk. The other breakout is this guy, Amon-Ra St. Amon-Ra St. Brown, this guy is doing it big. He now is the third player in NFL history to have 8 catches in 8 straight games. Michael Thomas and Antonio Brown were the only ones to ever do this. So this guy is making history in the NFL. And just showing you here, we got the box scores right on the Racing Dudes website, so you guys don't have to go anywhere else for all the information. It does take a little bit of time to pop up, but take a look at this guy. Or he had 68 yards rushing also on top of 12 targets, 9 catches for 116 and 2 touchdowns. This is a guy that just seems like Goff is locked on. He's getting the majority of the catches for this team. So someone that we're going to definitely need to be looking at going forward. A guy that we might not want to be looking at going forward as I scroll around on the Dude's website here. Russ. Is Russ cooked? Get at me in the comments. Do you think Russ is cooked? And I'm talking about Russell Wilson, quarterback for the Denver Broncos that I was really high on coming into the season. And I am not really sure what to think about what's going on with him. He only has 2 touchdowns this year. He may have lost his mobility, and then probably the second biggest injury is this Jerry Jeudy shoulder issue here. Jerry Jeudy being out is going to be a huge detriment to Russell Wilson. As you can see in the opening week, he hit him for a bomb. If he doesn't have Jerry Jeudy to his his utilization, I'm going to be very worried about him. Cortland Sutton, as you can see, got the lion's share of the targets. I mean, Sutton might just be unstoppable, so Sutton overs might be something. But overall, I'm very worried about Russ. Okay, and then let's see what we got here. Dennis. Russ has been cooked for a few years, and then he's passing me off or pissing me off. Of Pedlo, LOA. I don't know what Pedlo is, but anyway, Russ, we got to watch it, but I'm really worried about that team. Maybe unders is something to look at. We'll see what those lines come out and what we're going to see over the next few weeks if Jerry Jeudy comes back. So one of the storylines to definitely follow. The other big injury, Trey Lance out for the season. And I'll be honest with you, I actually like this for a lot of the 49ers players. I like this for Jeff Wilson coming into the week. I bet Deebo Samuel's over. I got very lucky. He had a 51-yard run, went over right away, and he didn't get many more runs after that. That was when actually Garoppolo did come into the game that he had that run, but they didn't run as much. So that Deebo overrunning, he may go back to utilizing Deebo more in that wide receiver. Ayuk has been the leading receiver for the 49ers when Garoppolo, he could be the leading receiver. We'll see when Kittle comes back, but I like all these guys more than with Trey Lance in there. So that's one thing for me to be looking at in the next few weeks. Last but not least, well, hold on. We got one more comment. I'm all over the place. Apologies. All right, here's a good one. Dennis, 49ers look so much better with Jimmy G. I can't agree more. I really think it's going to help a lot of these guys go over. We'll see when Kittle comes back, what the pass distribution is. So I'm probably not going to use them for a week or so here to see how it settles out. But a team that is going to have a better offense, we think, with Jimmy G at the helm. And if you're in a fantasy football league, I feel like Jimmy G is a good waiver wire pickup. I have Russell Wilson as my only quarterback in my league, and I'm going to get out there and try to get Jimmy G. Hopefully no one in my fantasy league is watching this right now. But if you are, do not try to outbid me for Jimmy G. All right. So Trey Lance out for the year. Wentz is back is the next big one. I love Carson Wentz. I was scared at the halftime that this game he was not going to go over. I had him at 238.5 yards passing. All right. This is a story. I like people writing comments and telling stories about their bets. I locked him in right when he came on the system at 238.5. I saw it as high as 251.5. It went up 13 yards. So these lines are moving all over the place with the player props. No one's really talking about that. I want to talk about it with you guys to make sure that, is it better to get in right away when you see something posted? I thought 238.5 was low. Obviously, Wentz went off in the second half, and he ended up with 300. Or 237 would have been bad, would have lost by a yard, but he ended up with 337 yards passing. So Carson Wentz got it done, and we'll see what happens in the next few weeks with Wentz when Brian Robinson comes back. For the next few weeks, I could see Wentz continuing. We'll take a look at his matchups in the next few weeks. Let's see if we could go to the Commanders webpage here. Let's see what their schedule is. Oh, see, so this is the Racing Dudes website, and you guys could get all that information right here. And what the heck is this? So, okay, so yeah. Oh, they talk about the last meeting here. Interesting. So Philly, we'll see the Philly defense tonight. So maybe Wentz against Philly. I really like the Philly defense. We'll see if Justin Jefferson can do it. And the Dallas defense, they're pretty stout too. So maybe lay off Wentz for a couple of weeks until they get these cream puffs here. Tennessee, who has not looked so good, but we'll see them tonight. We'll see how their run defense is able to try to deal with the Buffalo Bills. And obviously Chicago is just a disgrace. So we could be using Wentz in the next few weeks. All right. And moving to the final top 10 countdown. What is number one? Number one is the day of the comebacks. And the day of the comebacks really was cool to see. And I'm going to get up a nice little graphic here. Hold on one second. All right, hold on, guys. I'm trying to get the photo that I wanted to show. Uh-oh, hold on. There we go. There's the photo I wanted to show. So we had the day of the comebacks, 3 huge comebacks. The Jets were down 13 points with 1:33 left and came back to win. Amazing. The Browns just totally blew it. 35-14 going into the fourth quarter. Baltimore totally blew a 21-point lead. Huge game for Tua. And then in Vegas, the Raiders absolutely blew a 20-0 lead. Arizona looked like the worst team in the league in the first half of this game. And all of a sudden, Kyler Murray starts coming back on them. So what does this really tell us about the NFL right now? And I'll leave on this point. There are just some bad teams out here. There is inconsistent play. So let things settle out. Don't pound your best opinions yet, because we still need to formulate those. Have some action plays, have some prime plays. But for me, I'm going to be scaling back the amount of wagers I make until some of these things really settle out, because these teams suck. I mean, for the Jets to go down so badly and then the Browns to blow it, both of those teams suck. Miami and Baltimore, they might both be good teams, but for them to be so different from one half to the next, or 3 quarters to the last quarter, just the inconsistency of some of these teams. And in Arizona, I really think they suck. So this really shows you that the Raiders were up by 20 points and they blew this lead to Arizona. Shout out to my man Greg Dorsch, who got the over. Greg Dorsch was the pick of the week. I do not have to eat the borscht. I have the borscht upstairs. If I pick Greg Dorsch over again this year and he doesn't go over, I will eat the borscht. The borscht is pickled beets. It's disgusting. So that's all I got to say about that. But it was the day of the comeback, and it was a fun day of football. So for me, Saratoga Slim, as I said, I wanted to keep this about 20, 25 minutes. We're right at the time. Like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. Turn on notifications, because on Thursday night, I'll be live with Mike Somich for the Thursday night halftime show, Betapalooza, where we'll be giving out our best picks of the week. Mike Somich is 2-0 with his picks of the week. He picked the Dolphins plus 3.5. So it was unbelievable that he would be able to cover that when he were down by 21 points. So the Dolphins covered for Somich in a miracle. So he is 2-0. He picked the Giants in week 1. We'll see what he comes up with straight line. I'm going to have my 2 or 3 best prop bets at that point in the week on Thursday night football. The week 3 guide is coming out. I did the week 2 guide. I gave 3 of my top picks. I went 2 out of 3 in the guide. Next week, we're going to be building out a little bit more with some more graphics and stats in it. So all of that's coming at you. Follow me on Twitter at Saratoga Slim. And I love you all. There is a few comments. We have a couple of comments here. We will finish the show off with Dennis. Thank you, Dennis, for all the comments. I really appreciate you viewing in and writing all this. Miami Dolphins looked so sexy yesterday. I said to Aaron and Papa Do It after week 1, I think the Dolphins could win the AFC Championship game and lead the division. I know a lot of people are talking this about the Dolphins, that their defense is much better. I mean, the first 3 quarters of the game, the defense did not look much better because they gave up a 79-yard touchdown run to Lamar Jackson and a 75-yard pass to Rashad Bateman. So they looked like Swiss cheese, and all of a sudden they clamped down and they got the win. So I don't know. Those games are out of control, but I'll tell you one thing. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle together might be 2 of the most exciting wide receivers we've seen play together in a while, and they are just all over the field. So if Tua can do anything, he can get it to these 2 guys. And then Kyler Murray looked like a video game character from Madden. Yeah, I mean, that 2-point conversion, he's all over the field. And Kyler, I mean, that team might suck, but Kyler is awesome. And eventually they're going to get back DeAndre Hopkins, which is going to really help them. But for the time being, if they lose James Conner here, we'll have to check in on that. I really don't like the backups there. Eno Benjamin and Darrell Williams, I think, is the 2 that were splitting carries behind him. So neither one of those guys I'm looking to play in my fantasy team or bet on the props. So thank you so much. I'm over my time. Until next week, actually, until Thursday Night Football, I'll see ya. Peace.